everybody. My name is Tara Samuels. I'm with MSB Resources, and we are excited to kick off another rendition of our Open to Work Elevator Spotlight call. This is a resource that we've put together as a company to help folks with their open to work journey. It is an emotional time. I went through it recently. We've all been there where we need to maybe just lean on one another, have some resources, tips, tricks, and just some exposure, right? It's all about networking. So if you all are comfortable and if you have LinkedIn profiles while we're doing this call, feel free to put your LinkedIn profile, your URL in the chat. You might walk away with a new friend after today. So hoping that you all feel comfortable and feel supported. And as well, if you are not one of MSB's candidates and you would like our help in your journey, please submit your resume to us and we would love to help you. We are excited because each one of these calls has a special guest, and Ed Wolff is a great friend. He is someone who has been industry known for decades. So well respected. I will let him share his specific background, but I always ask our special guest for 3 words on how they would describe themselves. And I love that he said he's passionate, people-oriented, and compassionate. Currently, he's the president and chief revenue officer at Aerwave. So I'll let him tell a little bit about what Aerwave does, but I am really excited to get his perspective because he's worked on both sides of the fence, the dark side, as we all call it, for the supplier partners, and then also on the owner-operator side. So with that, Ed, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling everyone a little bit more about you?
Sure. Thanks, Tara. Well, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be here today. I've spent 25 years in the multifamily and technology space. We currently reside in Dallas, Texas, spent 20 years in Atlanta. We have a 17 and 15-year-old. Aerwave is a managed Wi-Fi provider. We provide digital connectivity and to every unit in the property. Aerwave started in 2019. We've got 80 employees. We're headquartered in Texas. Really, I fell into this industry in 2003 with place properties, and I cut my teeth on student housing and military housing as an owner operator, and then got recruited to Pinnacle, which is now part of Cushman & Wakefield. And so I was actually hired in 2008 to move the company's headquarters from Seattle to Dallas. And so through that journey, I fell into the dark side in 2014 with RealPage because I happened to be a RealPage customer 3 different times. And I'll never forget Steve Wynn, the CEO and founder, said to me, "Hey, Ed, now that you are no longer a customer, we can't poach you, but we'd love for you to consider coming to work for RealPage because you know the RealPage ecosystem." So I started there in 2014 running the resident screening, security deposit, alternative businesses, and renters insurance. And I just had a real blast because I didn't feel like I was selling. I was division president, and I would have conversations with people about what their tech stack is. What does occupancy look like? And so, I love this industry. I love paying it forward. I love kind of giving back. And so when Tara asked me to consider doing this spotlight, I thought what a great opportunity because I get to meet new people. Aerwave is hiring. We're hiring for customer success professionals. We're hiring for construction management professionals in Atlanta, LA, and Dallas. We're always looking for great account executives. And I can tell you a few stories about some of the good fortune of hiring some real creative account executives. But with that said, I was recruited to Aerwave by Modern Ventures about 9 months ago. Modern led the Series A and the Series B for Aerwave. I'm just everybody needs Wi-Fi, right? It's an amenity. We're future-proofing every unit. And if you can believe this, 19 devices on average is what the resident has in their unit. So it's not like Wi-Fi is an option, it's a requirement. And now more than ever before, right, multifamily acknowledges that they need to have digital connectivity, and it needs to be reliable, it needs to be convenient, it needs to be affordable, and it needs to be fast. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it. And I love how much experience you bring. Like you said, you were in student housing, military. So you've got a wide variety of perspectives that I think are going to help lend to some great conversation today. So let me introduce Jennifer. I actually just started working with MSB very recently. So I'm just like 45 days in, but Jennifer has been here about a decade. So Jennifer, would you introduce yourself to everybody on this call?
First of all, that headshot's horrible. I'm so
Stop.
sorry. No, listen, we did these at NAA in Atlanta. And like, you know, when you go to NAA, how large the trade show floor is, and it was hot and humid in June. And by the time I got there, I was like a sweaty mess. And they're like, okay, you're going to take a headshot. I'm like, no, not now. But anyway, we'll get to do another one. So I am Jennifer Branscombe. I have been with MSB for 10.5 years. I started in the industry in 1998 as a leasing consultant with Summit Properties, which is now Camden. I moved down back to Southeast Florida in 2000 and transitioned to work in the corporate regional office. I supported VPs from development to construction to property management and regional managers. Did that for about 8 years. When I stayed on through the Camden transition, I took a brief break when I had a third child. And then when I went back to work, I went to work as a recruiter. I had just called the recruiter we use to hire regional managers. And he said, hey, I know the industry, come work for me. I had no idea what I was getting into, but it's been 16 years now that I've been a recruiter. And I love that I've been able to stay connected to everyone I knew from before when I was on site and at corporate regional. And I just feel like this is a great industry to be in. So that's a little bit about me. I have 3 children. 2 are in college. 1 is a senior in high school. I have a lot of cats. And I just love what I do. Our slogan is, I love my job. I love helping people find the best place for them to be for their career. I love helping companies find the right candidates for their positions. So I guess if you add up the time that I was on site and in the corporate office with recruiting, I've also been in the industry for 25 years, which actually blows my mind.
That's insane. So like collectively between myself, Jennifer, and Ed, we have what, 75-ish years of experience. I don't feel old or anything.
I don't.
Well, I appreciate you being on. Jennifer's going to chime in here and there as well with just maybe some her perspective as we ask Ed some questions. And just real quick about me, I have been in the industry since the early 90s. I too started as a leasing agent. Most of us have fallen into the industry. I have spent the last 15 years on the supplier side. And I've known Brad, the founder of this company, for a decade, and he's someone who highly believes in great culture and hiring great people. And it just made sense to come here. He's a great guy. If you haven't met him, he's fantastic. And I will share one note. There's 3 people on this call who came by referral from someone I know and met at an industry event earlier this year, Carrie Jo, and that's the power of networking. This industry is so small yet so big. I think Ed would agree that when we go to events like NAA or OpTech, things like that, you need to keep your name clean because everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
So well, let's kick it off. Ed, just for fun, I wanted to just kind of share. We won't go over this whole thing in the interest of time, but I love that Ed also answered the same questions that you all did. And what I love, I know this is a meaningful quote for you, Ed, but do you want to just kind of share a little bit more about why you love that Maya Angelou quote so much?
Yeah. So, early in my career, what I realized is a lot of times people will forget like what you said to them, or people will forget what you did to them. But at the end of the day, none of that really matters, because it's really how you made the person feel, right? So did you make them feel special? Did you make them feel valued? Did you make them feel included? And from past experience, people will tell me that that was something that resonated. In fact, people that have worked with me over the years, I will get a random text from somebody and they'll say, Ed, that quote still sticks with me. So, aside from Maya Angelou being, iconic in so many ways, this is a real practical quote that does resonate if you really think about it. And so that's why I like it. It means something to me.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I mean, we all have kind of the if there's any Ted Lasso fans out there, they always say be a goldfish, right? So it's like Jonathan's a fan. So like after 10 seconds, you're supposed to forget, but you won't forget how someone made you feel. So I love that you answered that. So before we kick it off, so Brandon, I'm going to kick it off with you since I haven't seen Christy join at this point. If she does join, we can include her later in the lineup. But before I transition over to you, just as a quick reminder, I will have your slide up. Jennifer, if you'll do the timekeeping when he starts talking, let's go for 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
And just keep in mind, since we're going to give you a link for you to use for any of your outreach, it's whatever you would want a future employer to know about you. Touch on a little bit of your history, what you're looking for in your next role, anything that would be helpful, so that if a guy like Ed receives this link from Brandon, as an example, we hope that you use this creatively to cut through the noise. Unfortunately, right now, this is the quarter that we always see layoffs, transitions, acquisitions, all of the things are kind of happening. And so one of the things that MSB is trying to do to be a resource is give you this little gift that we hope will help you in your journey. So just kind of take that and keep that in mind as you kind of just share your little elevator pitch. And it's kind of like if you were going up to the 100th floor and you only have 2 minutes in an elevator with somebody, what would you want them to know? So that is the spirit of today. So Brandon, with that, actually I lied. I have Ed's question first, but let's do this. Let's go to Brandon since I teed it up. So Brandon, we're going to start with you, and we have a little hello, my name is. So with that, Jennifer, you kick off the time, and Brandon, the floor is yours, my friend.
Excuse me. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with everybody today. And Tara and Jennifer, thank y'all for convening us and the opportunity to speak. My name is Brandon Hammond. I'm a property management executive with over 20 years of experience in leadership roles across multifamily, student housing, single-family rentals, and build-to-rent sectors. My career has been defined by driving operational excellence, delivering strong financial performance, and enhancing the day-to-day experience of my teams and our residents. I've had the privilege of working for leading organizations where I've overseen large portfolios and complex operations. Most recently, as the Senior Director of Construction Coordination at Progress Residential, one of the largest single-family rental operators in the U.S. I led a team of as many as 150, responsible for coordinating 30,000 renovation and turn projects per year, with $1 billion in annual project volume. My team's efforts to streamline operations resulted in a 48% reduction in project cycle times, a 75% increase in renovation capacity, and over $8 million in annual operating cost savings for the management company. I also worked hard to build a positive team culture that ultimately reduced turnover on the team from 22% to 8% per year. Before Progress, I was with BH Management as an area vice president for their student housing brand, Be Home Student Living. I oversaw an 8,000-bed portfolio spanning 13 properties across 9 states. I achieved record-setting pre-leasing rates at the time, with 10 of 12 properties exceeding 95%, and drove rent growth by more than 12% annually. I also helped our owner clients achieve 12 property recapitalizations, sales, or management transitions across my final 18 months at BH, which included retention of management for all but one asset that sold. Earlier in my career, I led Blue Campus Management through a management transition and converting 8 of their student housing properties from 3 different third-party management companies to owner management in just 55 days. I established policies, processes, and systems from the ground up, creating a foundation for sustainable operational success. At Pinnick & Huff, a full-service real estate brokerage here in my hometown, I restructured property management operations to reduce vacancy loss by 35% and increase revenue by 10%, expanding the portfolio through a resident-focused approach. My leadership philosophy centers on teaching my team members to take an ownership approach and empowering them to do so. I've always believed that exceptional team member and resident experiences are the foundation for success, leading to stronger financial performance, better retention, increased asset value, and overall better outcomes for all stakeholders. I'm comfortable operating at the nexus of people, process, and strategy, roles where I can work toward achieving big strategic goals for stakeholders while developing teams and processes that support those objectives. I'm passionate about using my unique ability to interpret data to drive process improvements or overall improvements, whether on a small or large scale, and doing so with a people-centric approach. I believe
Brandon,
aligning.
I think we're got.
That's
Jennifer,
fine.
are you giving the signal?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, that's okay. And if we have
Appreciate
time
that.
at the end, we'll circle back if anyone has anything else that they want to add. But thank you very much. And I love the part that you talked about with the culture, how you impacted culture. If we have time, I would love to touch on that. So let's go back. Ed, I'm going to put you in the spotlight, and let's go to the first question, because I think this will help everybody here on this call. You've done a lot of hiring. You have a lot of people that you've brought into your teams and go to market, things like that. What qualities or skills really help candidates shine through the screen, especially in this world of virtual like we are right now? So how are people able to make like a really good impression on you?
Yeah, so the two attributes that I look for, and I preach this, is strategic thinking and problem solving, right? I want somebody who is going to strategically think and be forward looking, not rear view mirror. And then I don't need problems being presented to me. I've got plenty of those. I'm looking for somebody who's thinking about solving the problem and then ideating with me on how to solve that problem. So those are the two things that are really important. Now, I've got a couple of examples, but I think I'll have time later to give specific examples here of techniques that candidates used on me that resulted in me hiring them.
I love that. Jennifer, with you've been in recruiting a really long time. Is there anything that you want to add just kind of briefly to this that in your experience has kind of made a good impression with you as you're kind of doing your vetting process?
Absolutely. I really agree with what Ed is saying. It can be frustrating if you get on a phone call with somebody and they're just totally going over all the bad things that happened within their company, or, you know, putting the blame somewhere else. I mean, I love it when people focus on their accomplishments and when they take accountability and when they are forward thinking and they're not, you know, going to hold a grudge or hang on to those negative things, but they can step forward, see this as an opportunity to continue to improve and take their next step into their next challenge.
That's fantastic. Throughout this call, I'm going to weave in some really fast tips for people. One is about your background. One thing that I did on some of my virtual Zoom calls and my interviews when I was open to work is I created a custom background with the review or a testimonial from a reference that I had. So not only should you ask for references from people you've worked with to put on your LinkedIn page, because I don't know about Ed, but that's someplace I go to when I'm looking to hire folks. I definitely want to see some of those recommendations that people have received. And if you have a good one, take part of that quote or just something to put in your background that person who's interviewing you will see the whole time that they're talking to you, whether it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Allow that person to be like, oh, Brandon's really good at this and this, it sounds like, and that could even help be an icebreaker and be a standout moment. So just wanted to share that with you all. Next, let's go to, so I had you down as, wait, we have a Jonathan and a John. I think Jonathan Breakstone, I don't know if I had you in as someone who filled out the questionnaire, but we'll get to you. Because let me just really quick, are you open to work, or are you here supporting as like someone networking, just so I'm clear?
Both. Yes, I'm open to work.
Okay.
And no, I don't think I spelled out a questionnaire, but you'd be surprised how quick I can think on my feet.
I love that. That's a good trait. So I'm going to add you to the list. You will go after Vincent. So thank you so much. And
Thank you.
it's welcome to everybody. So thank you for joining the call. But with that, we're going to go to John. I think he's the next person that I had in my lineup. Here we go. Okay. And it looks like you go by John, Jon.
Yeah, I filled
Okay,
this out
perfect.
filled this out in a little bit of a rush last night, but
Oh, no worries. Well, Jennifer, are you ready to tee up the timer? And we'll keep an eye on.
Sorry.
Oh, no,
Yes,
you're okay.
I'm teed up.
All right, perfect. Well, John, please take it away.
hey, great. Hi, I'm John Vohr. I'm a facilities leader, creative artist, and successful entrepreneur. With over 2 decades of experience, I led a property maintenance team, most recently as a property services manager at Common Living. I managed operations across multiple states, optimized budgets, ensured compliance, and delivered exceptional customer service to clients. As founder of John Vohr Art and Design, I've also built a successful creative business, designing custom artwork and curating events that showcase California's vibrant art community. This dual background gives me a unique ability to combine strategic leadership with creative problem solving. I'm excited about opportunities where I can apply my leadership and creative problem solving to drive growth and create exceptional experiences for clients and teams alike. I think that was my brief pitch.
I would
Perfect.
love to know what you do for your creative outlet. Are you a musician? Are you a painter? What are the creative things that you were kind of describing as an artist?
I came to San Francisco 23 years ago, going to art school for painting. So I'm a visual artist. And I've done that. I have a studio here in the city and do a number of events. On top of that, I've also done a number of restaurant remodels and business remodels, as well as trade show booth design and fabrication. So I used to go to the Javits Center often in New York and had our own booth, and both did sales and the construction and the breakdown and the setup and everything of those. So a bit of a diverse background and creative. My resume is really kind of all over the place. So it's hard to combine that all into one thing sometimes. Well,
that's really interesting. And then you have the maintenance technical ability. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
Let's go back to asking Ed. So we kind of talked about interviews being in person. Sometimes those are still happening, especially if you work on site. And then obviously online. So Ed, what's a good tip or big piece of advice for an interview? Anything like must-dos that you're looking for or things to avoid?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I will tell you, I was a Boy Scout, right? Now it's Scouts. Always be prepared. And so what I mean by that is, and I've been doing this with my team in terms of them pitching me as if I was still the chief operating officer at Cortland, just get to know me. Like, do your research, right? Mm-hmm. So go on LinkedIn, see that I went to Georgia Tech, create some common ground. That's impressive, right? Because now it's like, okay, this person cared enough, right, to do their research, homework, versus coming on to an interview, virtual or otherwise, and saying, oh, so what does Aerwave do? Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? The other thing, and this is actually a true story. Quickly, about in person. I'll
Mhm.
never forget this. You can't even make this up. I always, if you're, I was in Houston, Clear Lake City back in '93, and it was an office park. And I'd always walk the candidate out to their car because, either it was before lunch or after lunch, and I wanted to kind of see how the person conducts themselves.
Mm.
In this case, and by the way, people that know me, that work with me now, the first thing they say is, Ed, don't look at my car. I haven't had it cleaned, okay, or I haven't vacuumed. I'm like, guys, I'm not judging you, okay? But here's where I'm going with this. So, this is a true quick story. It goes back to being prepared. This one guy I was hiring for a director of HR position, and I walked him out to the car, and the first thing he says, please don't look at my car. I went hunting over the weekend, and it's a mess. And it looked like he just got back from the deer lease and went and had taxidermy. And I said, okay, I'm gonna chalk that up to not being prepared. Maybe it was a long weekend. Fine. Come back. Let's meet again. And so we meet again about 10 days later. What do you think happens? Please, I didn't have a chance to get my car cleaned.
Oh.
Okay, fine. Right? He met with the CEO. The CEO liked him. We hired him. Guess what happened? A procrastinator. And it didn't work.
Mhm.
Nice guy, looked the part, talked the part, but it was a attribute, behavior that was indicative
Right.
in the workplace.
That's a great
Just
story.
to piggyback that, I totally agree, because I will set up video interviews for candidates, and then I will get the feedback afterwards from the interviewers. And all of those things matter. I had feedback, someone was really great, they had a terrific skill set, but the background that she could see was a huge mess of clutter. There was purses and papers and all sorts of stuff in the background. It wasn't clean and neat and tidy. And it gives you that assumption right away, that impression that this person is not organized, that they don't
Mhm.
have their priorities in order. Like, all these things matter. And, location of where you do a video interview, don't do it in your car. If it's the only option because you're working in the middle of the day or whatever, fine, we'll have to give them a notice up front, but try not to do it in your car. Try to be really prepared. Have your background, like Tara said, with something motivational. Have it be clean, have it be neat. It is a representation of who you are. And, there's really no excuse for that. Like, you need to go in to this with a mindset that people are going to see you. They can't gauge your body language. You can't shake your hand. All they see is what's on your screen, and then they hear the words coming out of your mouth. Another thing I will say for in person, I had an interviewer get back to me. He showed up in a suit. It was too baggy, and then he had on these shoes that looked like sneakers. Well, of course, nowadays they have the new modern shoes that do look a little like sneakers, that they're more comfortable and everything, and whatever. It was pretty judgy, but people are looking at that. So go in dressed professionally, even if they tell you it's a casual atmosphere at the business. You want to make your best impression possible when you're going in for an interview.
These are great tips. I appreciate it. And I love the story, Ed. Rex, we're going to hit it off with you, or kick it off with you next. I'm going to get over to your slide.
Awesome.
So here we go. I'll give Jennifer a second to reset what she needs to. Are you good on your end?
I'm
Jen?
good. I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Well, Rex, nice to meet you. Kick it off. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, nice to meet everyone. My name is Rex Miljus. I'm currently based in Tampa, Florida. I am an operations and business development professional with 5 years of experience in multifamily. Over the last few years, I've worked for Class C to Class A luxury apartments, And I've had the opportunity to manage portfolios remotely, overseeing up to 64 properties and 6,000 units across 9 different markets in the US. I started my career working for Common Living, similar to John. That was a national co-living operator, which eventually expanded to a global company with the acquisition by Habit, a European-based flexible living company. Currently, I'm on a contract role as an operations/asset manager with Miles Property Management, a smaller boutique management company that spun out of an owner-operator model with Elk Development based in Los Angeles. What sets me apart is my ability to collaborate effectively with cross-functional teams, driving operational efficiency and implementing best practices. Currently at Miles, for instance, I've led initiatives to streamline key processes, which has resulted in a significant occupancy increase for a shared housing lease up, which is the first of its kind in a new market here in Tampa, Florida. In previous roles, I've worked closely with sales teams to help support operational goals and set standardized best practices. Now I'm looking to leverage my expertise in operations, business development, and asset management to help contribute to an organization's continued success. And I'm confident that my background and track record of driving results will help support growth and operational excellence.
That was fantastic. I have to say, I didn't get a chance to put everything that Rex wrote, but he gets the award for the most thorough answers because he was very, very expansive in his thought, and I really appreciated what the time and effort you put into it. I'm sorry I wasn't able to put everything, but I will tell you, very thorough. So thank you for that. And Ed, it looks like he shares a love for Maya Angelou with you, with his
Yeah, and I
favorite
also-
quote.
Yeah, we had the same, different quote, but same person.
But I also like your development book because The Power of One More. If you
Yeah.
read the book Atomic Habits, which is one of my favorite books that I reread every year, the beginning of the year, it's all about doing one more. Send one more email, one more minute on the treadmill, one more phone call.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
absolutely
One
love
more
it.
meeting, one more person that you potentially might meet that will set you up to be more aligned with your future goals and maybe even a future job opportunity. So
It's so true because your brain will tell you, oh, I'm tired. Let me just pack it up for the day. But yes, if you just do that one more and push yourself, that's great. I love it.
And it's the spirit of vulnerability. And Atomic Habits is one of my favorite books. I'm in the middle of doing a journey about that book, but I will just commend you all because getting onto a call like this is a really vulnerable thing. And it's unique, it's different, and pitching yourself is not easy. So I just want to thank you all for doing something different for yourself because you just never know. I'm sure there may have been a thought at some point like, do I really want to get on this call with her? I don't really know what to expect. And so I think you need to walk away from this just with the power of like, see what happens when you push yourself out of your comfort zone a little, getting on one more call that maybe you weren't really excited about, or, you're not feeling your best. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there. Ed, we're going to kick it back to you. I know you're familiar with MSB, and I'm just curious with just your tenure in the industry, if you've had a story or some success with partnering with recruiting firms such as MSB.
Yeah. So the answer is yes. I like boutique firms. That's not to say that I haven't used the big ones like Korn Ferry and Heidrick and Egon Zehnder. But I tend to gravitate to the boutiques. I will say to you, I've been fortunate to grow my professional network, to tap into recruiting people that know me or know of me or are second or third connections to me. LinkedIn is my friend. I love it. I have to tell you just a quick story. I'm a storyteller, if you haven't figured that out.
I love stories.
My daughter's 17, right? And we were headed to spring break and we're on the airplane headed to the Bahamas. And I said, we're going to set up your LinkedIn profile. She's like, Dad, that's weird. I'm 16 years old. That's just weird. I said, trust me, you need to set this up. And so I wasn't going to let up. And she said, okay, fine. And so we set up the LinkedIn profile on the plane, right? Because we had 3 hours to kill. The point is, right? And this is something that I didn't think about until later. And I'm going to repeat this 3 times because it takes 3 times for it to stick. It doesn't matter who you know. It matters who knows you. Think about that. It's not who you know. It's who knows you. So, like, I never really thought about it that way because I could say, I know Tara. I've known Jennifer forever, right? But if they don't know me, it doesn't matter, right? Especially in the business that they're in. They're there to place people. So I'm just a big believer, right? Leverage LinkedIn. Like, you know, I would expect every one of you to send me a LinkedIn request, and you should expect that I would accept that request, right? Jonathan and I are already connected. But my point is, like, you're never always going to have the opportunity to leverage your network to hire the right people. So I've used recruiting firms for specialty roles, right? Roles that I just really can't hire on my own. So there's a huge benefit of aligning yourself with the right people. And at the end of the day, people buy from people they like, trust, and respect. And so that's why, right, I would use MSB because of Tara and Jennifer.
Thank you. And that was not a paid plug-in, by the way.
No, he didn't. I'm not getting paid for this.
We appreciate that, Ed.
All right. So, Raphael, you're going to have to help me with the pronunciation of your last name.
No, Mastromonaco.
Mastromonaco. Okay.
Yes.
Very nice to meet you.
I'm sorry about my
slide
headshot.
up.
I'm working on that.
Oh,
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. You get another chance to do it. You can have, I mean, listen, AI sometimes can get it right. Sometimes it doesn't get it right.
The sad
Play
thing
around
is
with it.
I used to be a professional photographer, so I should have that better than anybody. But yeah.
That's okay.
So
okay, well,
right.
we're gonna check in 10 days to see if
Yeah,
you're a
that's right.
procrastinator.
oh, I got my haircut yesterday for this, so
Oh,
give me 3. Give me 3.
Jennifer, are you good with time?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay,
All right,
good. Raphael, take it away.
So I've been in retail sales and management for about 15 plus years. My specialty was, well, on the sales side, we always like to have it's a team-oriented environment. So we were constantly teaming up on sales, trying to help people, within our sales departments to be better, make more sales, and have better customer interactions. On the management side, I was cleaning up a lot of locations where there were store locations or districts. So somewhere, I would say around 2006, 2007, I had a really good opportunity with Best Buy to kind of be on a lot of calls with my store manager and the district manager and kind of give open feedback what they were seeing in the store on the floor level and make drastic improvements within the sales floor, customer service side. And then we started implementing a lot of those changes across our district. And that's where I kind of realized what my niche was that I like cleaning up messes. And it's kind of like, if you were a kitchen appliance, which one would you be? And I said the fridge, because everyone always needs something from me to help them throughout the day. And working at single digits, they gave us lots of different titles. The titles keep changing. But as a customer success manager, I think every company has a different definition of what customer success is. At this company, I wore a lot of hats. The best compliment that I ever received from my boss, I think, was, "So why are you involved?" And I said, "Well, because if I don't get involved, nothing's going to get done." And that means if it's bringing a property online because somebody didn't pay their bill, meaning if it was us, if it was the last mile carrier, if it was the property themselves, I'm going to accounts payable and I'm going to the accounting team and saying, hey, what's going on here? We've checked everything else. Is there something else going on? Working with the engineers, making sure that they're going through their processes and haven't overlooked something, looking at the age of the site and seeing, all right, what equipment's there that's not monitored that might be faulty, whether it's power, old media converters, anything like that. So I was at single digits for close to 5 years.
Looks like we're at time, Raphael.
Oh,
Sorry.
we're getting close. Was
We're
that
at
it?
time.
Oh, we're at
Time,
time.
sorry.
Okay.
But we
Well,
will
more for
try to
another
circle
time.
back. We'll
Sure,
try
sure.
to circle back for sure. We just want to try to be equal with everyone's time. But this actually ties in nicely because Ed, all three of us got started in another industry before we came to multifamily. That's how that works. And so I'm curious if you can provide, hold on, I'm going to cough for a second. Hold on. I can't find the mute button. You guys, hang on. Hold on. Okay, I'm okay. Jennifer, will you read this?
Yes, multifamily can feel like a unique world with its own language and culture. For someone coming from a completely different background, what's the best way to break into the industry? Are there any skills or experiences that can translate well, even if they aren't specific to multifamily?
Yeah. Here's what I will tell you. When I was on the owner operator side, there were 3 areas that I recruited from specifically outside of the industry. I love retail, I love hospitality, and I love restaurant. And I'll never forget, I'd hire leasing agents from Nordstrom's, right? So I'd go to my personal shopper, and I'd say, hey, are you happy doing this? Because they were really good. Like, I'm cheap. And I would only go to the anniversary sale, so don't get the wrong idea. And like they try to upsell me all the time.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I could use you leasing up this Class A in Buckhead. And so those 3 are, I think, really good. My advice to breaking in would be to put yourself out there, which is uncomfortable, but go to an Atlanta Apartment Association meeting. Go to an Apartment Association of Greater Dallas meeting, right? And, get to interact with people. Go so far. Now, again, this sounds hokey, but, I'm a nerd when it comes to work because I don't feel like I'm working. Every Saturday, I'd take the kids, we'd hop in the car, I'd bribe them with donuts, and we'd go mystery shopping, like almost like undercover boss. And I'd go to properties, and I'd love doing it. First, I wouldn't tell them who I am, right? I'd have a baseball hat on or whatever. And after they would do the tour, then I'd say, well, you probably don't know me, but I'm Ed. And they're like, oh my God, you're Ed Wolff? And the point was, right, that I put myself out there. I'm saying to you that if you think you want to do leasing, go visit a property.
Right.
Go ask the leasing agent, right, what they like, what they dislike about the job. So hopefully that answers the question, guys. But I think, putting yourself out there, pushing yourself to grow yourself professionally, attending a trade show, attending a conference, attending a dinner event, it's an investment in your future.
Yep, attending a call like this too.
I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was just saying, attending a call like this too, putting yourself out there.
A lot of times these events you can do locally for your local apartment association, they're so fun. You get to meet great people, both on the management side and on the vendor side. I went to a cornhole event last Thursday night, had a few drinks, talked to some people, exchanged a few cards, and just had a blast. It's great to get out there and socialize and shake hands and just learn. It doesn't have to be business oriented. Just go hang and get to know people and develop levels of trust with them.
Love that.
So I got to just use this one other example here.
Yeah.
If you need me to shut up, tell me. I had just moved to Atlanta. I was 21 years old, and I was at my apartment complex. This is a true story. And I'm sitting at the pool, and I see this very attractive woman who ordinarily I would not be that bold and introduce myself, but I did because I didn't know anybody in Atlanta. And her name was Jan. Come to find out, she was a BMW and Coca-Cola model. And this is a true story. And so she was just very polite and just from Atlanta. And, she's looking at me saying, oh my gosh, you don't know anybody. And anyway, so to make a long story short, she said, my boyfriend has a company that could use someone like you. And I said, really? And literally the following Monday, I have an interview in Vinings in Atlanta. And I meet Joe, and they offer me a job. They offered me $25,000 a year. I didn't care because I wanted the work experience. And the rest is history.
Amazing.
Wow. I love that. I love these stories from along the way. I think Vincent, you are next. Nice to see you. I have to share something really fun. I don't know if he remembers this, but do you remember the day that I walked into the apartment community that you were at in Arlington Heights? It was a Greystar community lease up.
Yes.
It was across
One
from
Arlington.
Yes, One Arlington. So you guys, this is the power of how long your connections can be in the industry, because that was probably back in, it was probably a decade ago when I was living in Chicago, which is where I'm from, and he happened to be there. I think maybe Valerie Fertitta was there, or Amanda Kopko at the time, or anyway, small world. And so now we are reunited, and I invited him to this call, and it's just another testament to, you never know a decade later who you're going to run into and how you first met them. But I just had to share that. So nice to see you again. I will put up your slide. And Jennifer, are you going by Vince or Vincent? Just so we're clear.
I mean, I go by Vince generally.
Vince. Okay, got it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, you're good. All right.
good.
So Vince, you take it away and tell us about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much for having me on this morning. And my name is Vincent Zambello. I work in the facilities section of property management. I've been in this field for a little over a decade and a half. And most recently, I was with City Club Apartments as their VP of Facilities, overseeing about 8,000 units, $2.5 billion in assets. One of the things that I'm very proud of that we were able to accomplish over there is we had a very high attrition rate, over 90% at one point. And in my tenure there, I was able to work with my team and bring it down to under 10%. So I know that we were getting quality candidates at that point and doing what we had to do to keep them happy and keep them working. So pretty proud of that. I was a chief engineer for about 10 years at several different properties, one of which Tara mentioned. I've worked mainly with Class A luxury high-rise buildings. I would take them from pre-construction through lease up and then go to the next one. I also got by Valerie Fertitta, she wrote me into going into properties that were underperforming and helping them turn around, whether it was via sale or whatever the outcome that they wanted was. I pride myself in being an efficiency expert. So I like to look at the way a company works, not just the facility department, but the company itself and how all the pieces interact and how we can break down the barriers, make sure that we're not all working in silos, communicate effectively, share information. I find that that has a good lasting effect, and that starts building trust throughout the company. I'm a firm believer in habit stacking, so that's what I preach to all my guys. We do one thing one day, the next day we add another habit to it. Later, we're in a great shape, right? And every day we're moving forward, and we're continuing to go forward.
Love that.
5 seconds.
I think that's it. That's about it for me.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining this call. And Jonathan, I do want to get to you. So what I want to do is I'm going to stop screen sharing since we don't have a slide for you. I don't want to promote someone else on your couple of minutes. So we'll stop screen sharing for a second and give you the opportunity to tell us about you, since this is my first time meeting you.
Oh, thanks, Tara. You could have put up a blank slide. I could have talked to it. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. Great to meet all of you, and connected with some of you, sent requests to others. My favorite quote is "To thine own self be true." And I really think that my introduction to corporate America, which goes back, maybe I'm older than everybody here, goes back to Deloitte and really the culture that I was grounded in. And to thine own self be true as a team player was really important to me. Been in multifamily for 10 years. I've met Tara. I was introduced and I was tagged in a post about this program by Andrew Bowen. Those of you that know Mr. Bowen at RealPage, now at LeaseLock, thought leader in our industry. He was a dear friend and trained me in asset optimization almost 7 years ago when I started at RealPage. And Ed, to know that we're part of the breed that knows Steve Wynn, it's quite an experience to be around something like that. And I consider myself really lucky. My superpower, resilience. My appliance is definitely the espresso machine. Why? I'm okay under pressure, and I like the taste of espresso. I love all of your appliances. The way you spoke to them was so creative and great. I'm sure I'm running up against favorite book, Change Leadership by John Cotter. Something about Deloitte having us in the urgency around change management. If also it would be a Swiss Army knife. I came from Deloitte, data and technology, largest systems integrations, and that change management has carried me into multifamily and what I did prior to coming to RealPage as well. So I'm sure the strategy, and Ed, what you said that is what I do. And I pride myself being able to mine data. It's why I gravitated toward asset optimization. I wound up my career at RealPage in spend and vendor management with Sarah Jones. I love the industry, and I'm really excited just to be here, collaborate, network. If I can help anybody, I'm a connector. Favorite book is that one, and also the other one I was going to say is Gladwell's book, Tipping Point. Because if I'm familiar with Progress, I know Common. If you're in Florida, there's a great company. Let's talk first, see if it's a good fit. Father and son operation, owner operator for about 7,000 units. People have been generous to me. I want to give back. Tara, thanks for the chance to introduce myself.
Yeah,
Or Tara.
absolutely.
Is it Tara or Tara?
It's Tara.
Tara.
Ed will make sure that I give Ed a lot of flack for that.
By the way, Ed, if you want to see my car, it's fine.
Okay, good.
I married into a car wash family, and oh man, I could not show up there with a dirty car. It was trouble.
That's so funny. Well, it's nice to meet you, Jonathan. I know we only have 3 minutes left. I just want to touch on something really quick. You all answered private. I left it anonymous, which I'll show in a second, but we asked, one of the questions was, what does a sticky organization look like to you? What makes that culture? What keeps people where they are? An arm of MSB Solutions that a lot of people don't know about is what we have is called Workplace Solutions. I think I said MSB Solutions. I meant MSB Resources. We are partnered with a psychologist, Dr. David Wyman, who's pictured here, who will help kind of do an autopsy of a company, if you will, to just kind of put it in layman's terms. We all have blind spots. It doesn't matter how good your culture is. There's certain things that maybe you can't see. our partnership with him is customizing solutions to help really uncover things that prevent turnover from happening in the first place. So here's some of the anonymous answers that were given about what creates a sticky culture. Ed, I'm going to give you the final minute since we have 2 minutes left. We don't have any more specific questions, but I would love to give you the floor to close out this call and just say thank you again to everybody for joining. And just as a side note, everyone will get their clip in a couple of days so that you can use that. And Ed, take it away with any final thoughts.
Yeah, no, thanks, Tara and Jennifer. So 2 things that I just wanted to leave you with, because I know we're cutting close on time. These are 2 techniques that I've seen people use on me that resulted in me hiring them. One was I got a video thank you note texted to me. I was so impressed that Jordan sent that to me that I was like, this guy, we got to hire this guy. And we did. The second, actually, I'm lying. There's 3. The second one is I love, talking in metaphors. And I used to say, I like to take chicken shit and make it into chicken salad. and there's nothing like a good chicken salad. Would you believe I was at RealPage. I get a call from the front desk. And they said, you have a delivery. And I thought, I don't have a delivery coming. And I said, okay, I'll be right up. And so I go get it, and it's a half a pound of chicken salad from Cafe Izmir that makes the most incredible Russian chicken salad in Dallas. And I had never heard of it. Okay. And the note was, Ed, thank you for your time. Enjoy the chicken salad and let me know what you thought. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, just again,
that's awesome.
Unconventional and unique. And then the final one was, I had interviewed this up and comer. And I was so impressed with his ability to articulate and formulate. And I said, you know what? I want to see if I can get you on the phone with our head of sales. And he's like, right now? I said, right now. And so we get the SVP of sales on. Okay. It was like a Thursday afternoon at 5:30. And we get off the phone. I said, Chris, what do you want to do? He said, oh, Ed, I think we need to hire this guy. I said, I agree. Make him an offer. And so we made him an offer, right? And then when I found out, the crescendo was I had found out that Tara was a reference. That made it that much easier to make him the offer. And I think he gave notice 2 weeks later. So I just think you only have one shot to make a lasting first impression.
Right.
And that's the punchline. They made a lasting first impression that resulted in them getting hired for their creativity and their thoughtfulness.
I love that. And I will say that the creativity piece, you've talked about some very unique things that are unconventional. And this is one of the reasons why we put this series together, as we really hope that using this video clip of yourself can help you land your next opportunity. And Jennifer and I want you to keep us posted on how you're doing. Ed, it sounds like everyone's already given you a LinkedIn request. If they haven't yet, they will. But thank you so much, everyone. And one final plug is we're going to do one more of these this year. Our next special guest is Mike Wilbur. I think everyone in multifamily knows who this guy is. He's a great leader, just like Ed. And so that'll be December 10th at, I think 3 p.m. Eastern. I forget. We'll post that. So if you want the opportunity you can join that again and kind of sit on the sidelines and hear some more tips and tricks. You're welcome to join. And if you know anyone else open to work, please invite them. We're on a mission to kind of help others find their next opportunity. So with that, Ed, thanks so much, Jennifer, and thank all of you for being part of this and for doing something different out of your comfort zone. Appreciate you all.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.